Hello, just as I started this video, my phone thing that was holding up my phone fell down. It's a new device, and obviously I don't have it set up right. So let me set this up right. I just got this new holder today, and I want to be able to, so you guys can see me well, and I can be hands-free. I can talk to you, but so it's going to be a little top heavy here with the ceiling. But in any case, today, someone asked, why didn't any of the diviners or astrologers forecast what was going on for 2020? And I was like, but they did. I remember last year, and I looked on my messages, somebody gifted me last year, and I have it over here, the 2019 Wee Moon Planner. And so that having that planner last year and not paying attention to it as much as I should have, I wanted to get them again this year. So I got one from these. They have these at the Druid. I hadn't bought the planners for the store for this year because I was in Haiti and it was a little crazy when I got back. But I made sure that everybody in my family who wanted one of these, and Mark as well, he's an extension of our store family, had this planner. So just readjusting here. And so I read, and what I love about this planner, and I'm going to definitely have them for 2021. I think they have them available at the Magical Druid. I don't know if he's shipping right now, but you also can go on various book sites and order this, or you can probably order it from their website yourself. But it was interesting because the cover of the book said "Wake Up Call." Well, let me tell you something, y'all. I'm a cynic. I am a spiritualist cynic. I always kind of sit back on things, but I read and I highlighted areas in the astrological overview for 2020 and read about key dates and made some notations in a larger planner that I have. But I wanted to take a minute and point out some of these things to you that you can find in this planner. Or if you want to, in your own research through astrology about times, dates, planetary cycles that were foretelling of a lot of this stuff. I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, this is wishful thinking. Basically, wake up call about how everything was going to be changing this year. That patriarchal, oppressive systems were going to find themselves challenging and collapsing. And that a lot of things were not going to be what we thought they were. And so I want to just point out some of the stuff that I have highlighted here so that, maybe you would want to get this planner or dig deeper into astrology and find out why some of these things are happening and key dates and outcomes and things like that. So one of the things that they wrote was the first paragraph in the astrological overview was the personal is political. In 2020, the stars ask you to pay attention to our spiritual life and relationships, but always remember they are embedded in the body public. And the body public needs our help. Now, mind you, I read this in January. Our spirituality must feed into community and community organizing to help us build a healthier world. We have a chance to turn things around, but we need to stay awake, aware, and involved. As Jupiter, Saturn, Planet, and Pluto run together, they bring forth opportunity for death and rebirth of power systems and political structures throughout the world. But it may get messy before it gets better. And they showed us where this was going to happen astrologically. Every 20 years, we have a great conjunction between these two. Since the American Revolution, every great conjunction brought to the USA a presidential term where the presidency went under attack or stress, underwent attack or stress, often precipitated a healthy bipartisan response. Okay, every great conjunction brought to the USA And I don't. It doesn't really make sense. A presidential term where the presidency went under attack or stress often participated a healthy bipartisan response. This year in Aquarius, that conjunction calls for a philosophical rebirth. The Mercury retrogrades were noted February 16th through March 9th. That's when all this shit hit the fan. Then 6/17 to 7/12. If you want a date of when things are going to start to get back to what we believed was normal before, look to June and July. And it's going to be a bitch. Because everybody is going to have to start to adjust again from after all of these months in seclusion. In a midst of a Mercury retrograde, where we all know one of the primary characteristics of Mercury retrogrades are that people have communication issues, that there are strains and there are problems in relationships, things with contracts and money, and they tell you don't buy a house, don't do anything like that. That it depends on cellular communication during a Mercury retrograde. People are going to be re-entering the workforce in the middle of a Mercury retrograde, whether they're going back to the office of their old jobs or they've had to find new ones. And then on 10/13 through 11/3. So you're going to want to pay attention to these things. But there's also dates of hope. Jupiter sextiles Neptune repeatedly this year. 2/20, 7/27, and 10/12. Renewing our sense of hope, helping us imagine a better future. This soft, intuitive, potentially escapist aspect can make us lazy or can make us visionary. It is up for us to use it as well. Seek visions. So people are harping on the fact that a lot of people are encouraging people to take this time to get their visions right, to smash goals that have been sitting in front of them that they have ignored. That is not telling people, especially people who don't have any money or spoons, to go out here and if you didn't conquer the world in this time, that, you're a failure. That's not what they're talking about, okay? And so people really misunderstand the concept of, there are people like myself who have been grinding and grinding. I just left a divination with somebody like that. Grinding and grinding and grinding, and then you get in a space like this and you're like, for what? What do I have to look back on and fall back into when all of this grind comes to a screeching halt? For me, it was my family. It was my personal interest that I never let go during any time, but there's some things that had hit the back burner of my life that I have to fix. Namely, my fucking home office. I'm in here dying, y'all. I wish we could have company because I need somebody to help me come and get this shit together. And I've been trying and trying and trying and trying for months. There are things with my business and with my job and my career that I want to take time to look at. I didn't even have time to do 2 new formulations that I wanted to develop. And I keep encouraging my children, this is your time to plan. This is your time to strategize. This is your time to teach. I've been sweating every single person that works for me to come up with classes that they can offer. Because the number one selling products in our business are conjure oils, my divinations, and then our classes. Okay? That's the only we are going to be able to reopen and I'm going to say this, late June. That's when I'm looking at this really coming to the place where we all feel remotely comfortable. Because I'm telling you, when they start releasing folks out here into the wild, I'm going to wait another week or two and see what happens. And if some people get that ability to do so, that's great. But there are some people that don't even have that ability right now. Okay? Jupiter calls for our introspection on the political left as well as the right, as it conjuncts in Pluto, 24 degrees Capricorn at 4/4, 6/29, and 1112. Jupiter maximizes whatever it touches and then increases the Hecate Kali work of revolution, transformation, death, and rebirth. So go back and look at what happened around the 4th, Around that time, we realized we was going to be up in this bitch for at least another month, okay? Truth will out. The search for honesty becomes a spiritual practice. We may be surprised and transformed by a new perspective which precipitates change. Triggered by a full Sagittarius lunar eclipse. The moon squares Mars in Pisces on 6/5. All of this is echoed and magnified by a total solar eclipse on December 14th. Buy this planner, you all. I really, this just like really, I was reading this and I'm like, I didn't even bother doing, first of all, I got back in the middle of the month, so I didn't do any 12-month readings for most people. I didn't do one for myself because I pretty much already could see what was going to come. But it's not something that anybody in particular came up with, I think the people at We Moon will be happy that I'm happy with their planner and I'm suggesting it to you. But this information that they're showing you is historically and planetarily based. The cards don't lie, the ancestors don't lie, and the planets do not lie, y'all. So, we're going to be looking for another great conjunction around the winter solstice, okay? For the first time in 20 years, all right? Jupiter is going to enter Aquarius. You should start studying how these different signs work. They talk about in here that they work in systems like the roots of trees within the forest. Our psyches and our daily living conditions touch one another throughout the globe. I didn't even highlight that one. Let me get my pen. Try not to burn myself on my candle. Do you all understand? I mean, you really, need to dig deep. We are one. If this has not shown all of us, this the only reason why more Black people are affected by this is because they are in underserved communities. They're poor. They usually are essential workers, but they're not being paid like that. These people are on the front lines, government, postal service, hospitals. Okay. It is the We Moon Planner. It's in the title of this live. And I read all this shit on the plane coming back from the Dominican Republic Haiti via the Dominican Republic. And it's triggering 2020 ellipses in Sagittarius triggers new honesty. And this honesty encourages us to restructure the systems of power while Saturn and Jupiter conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. That could be as much as you always wanted to work at home and or homeschool your children and structure of your life, and you got it. Okay? 3 planets will be in retrograde next week. Great. I'm sure if I look in this planner, I would have seen that. Okay? But I went and highlighted all of the members of my family that were important. But here's Pisces, which is my sun sign. You see that the emperor has no clothes on, where people in authority, both close to home and nationally, are not in their integrity. Your assignment is to say what you see in an effective way and grow that integrity within people and systems. Sometimes your fellow collaborators may disagree on the goal. Their job may be to fight, and yours is to hold the vision for a positive future and guide those steps forwards. Inner peace grows as a response. So one of the things we want to really want to pay attention to is these Pluto-Jupiter conjunctions and how they meet in Capricorn. You know how Capricorn is. Capricorn is blunt. Capricorn is straightforward. Capricorn can cut you to your goddamn soul. It may make perfect sense, but that doesn't mean it made you feel good. How many people have had a Capricorn tell them some shit about themselves and they just been like, well, damn, that shit was true, but you didn't have to attack me like that. And the Capricorn's like, what? So understanding, I'm really shocked. I don't think we have that many people signed up for the natal astrology class. And you should. You really should. I know I'll be in that particular session if I'm not teaching. If not, she's going to be recording it. For me, not for y'all. We don't record most of our classes, okay? Get your present practices on point. Now listen to this, y'all. I was told this by reading this forecast in January. This is the Astrological at a glance introduction on page 19. And I think about how many people we all did, because we had about 30 orders in the queue. We were caught up. But, my goal was constantly to get them out every day as they came. Just boom, boom, boom. When you're hand making things, that doesn't always work. And then when there's many oil samplers, somehow I always end up having to make what we don't have near the mark. But you couldn't afford to be in your own ass in the beginning of 2020. You could not afford to be in your own way. And a lot of people, just like when this whole shit hit the bricks and we were like, okay, we got curbside pickup, everybody and mama. And that's one of the things we had to do was get people things to them at the curb. And because we saw it coming. But other people didn't. They're just, the toilet paper people, the cleaning supply people. How is it that you don't have enough to at least get you through a month in your house? But more importantly, a lot of the magical people, because basic magical staples, when you're in the middle of one of these of Pluto and Jupiter and Capricorn, you don't want to be caught with your fucking pants down without a single candle or without an herb and that's why we tried to have some foresight on some of our products, like the witch kits and the classes, so that you could understand how if shit hit the bricks, if you could go into your cabinet and get it, you would. But a lot of us didn't learn that. I mean, I talked about this in my hoodoo classes, how I got 100 and some herbs at my disposal. And when it was time to go, I wanted to cry because I'm standing in front of all these herbs knowing I'm going to need something, but because of the fervor of my life, the lack of taking a moment, the real lack of reflection on a daily basis, keeping up with this planner, I was at a loss. You have everything in front of you and you just don't know what to take? And my family don't let me leave the house, and I be liking my stuff the way I want it. So I snuck out this morning because I had to drop off something at the post office. I didn't get out of my car. But, everybody got caught with their fucking pants down. And I'm sitting here like, bitch, there's no reason. What? You read that shit and you just thought it was pagan overreaction. And I think a part of it has to do with my cynicism and a lot of lost hope. I could already see the way the presidential election was going to go, who was going to be the major players. And I was resigning myself to business as usual. And the ways that I could insulate myself as an empath, but was not ready for this. None of us were. None of us. And this all goes back to, I've got a series of videos about how divination matters, right? So even the diviners didn't take heed. Because if I'd, done more than just taking notes on this, and maybe I'd made a video about this a few months ago, maybe we could have all been just a little bit more ready. So this is why I'm trying to tell you why you need to be up on certain things, especially if you call yourself a witch or worker or a spiritualist or anywhere in the metaphysical. Because one of the biggest things I learned, especially from the book The Secrets of Voodoo by Milo Regard, is how tied voodoo is to astrology. Okay? Which then, of course, is irrevocably tied, I don't care what they say, to astronomy. The way the world works through the way the planets move. And what happens when we have a full moon versus a waxing or a waning gibbons. And what type of an energy is present. Okay? You have to understand, people are always trying to kick off spell work on the full fucking moon. And I never could understand it because that's the end of the cycle. That's when you should be putting up offerings and thanks for the manifestation of your spiritual work. Your waxing moon is for your manifestations. Your waning moon is for your curses and your banishment. But you've let the media, non-African and African-American companies, metaphysical companies, try to teach you that this has nothing to do with your practice. And just like crystals. But my question is, how the fuck not? How does the way that the planets move, their arrangements, what's visible in the sky, how close they are together? Yes, astrology and voodoo. You have to understand that voodoo simply means spirit. Okay? That's all it means. It's got everything to do with it. And just as we have planetary alignments for ourselves and our charts, you don't think our spirits have planetary alignments? Or elements, fire, water, earth, air? It's everything to do with it. But see, we're too busy looking at TV, American Horror Story. We think Papa Legba looks like some freaked out Gede wouldn't even claim that thing. You know, they tell us that these things are not for us because they don't want you to have the intimate knowledge. But I'm sitting up here looking at a planner I did not create. I am looking at notes I took on a plane on the way back home from Haiti in January. This shit is a literal roadmap to the fuckery that we are currently experiencing. And I'm sorry, I know Facebook has algorithms and shit like that. I don't remember none of y'all talking about this. I read it and didn't talk about it. Now, IFA has a letter of the year, and they said that some of this stuff was coming up. But 2020 offers us wisdom to see that we are crucial co-creators of the past, present, and the future. In this year of recall and recognition, we must transmute oppression as it lives within us, within our lineage, and within our homes. Move with integrity. And I don't know much about what y'all are experiencing through having to be around your people who you cohabitate with 24/7, but I'm going to tell you what it's done for me. It's made me patient. It's made me realize I'm over it. It has made me realize there ain't really nothing in this world that's serious that you gotta pop off the first time about. I don't usually do that, but my family, like, can I tell you motherfuckers how many times I emptied that motherfucking dishwasher in a day? And I thought about saying something to my family, like, you motherfuckers. But, you're emptying the dishwasher. You get a new perspective on things. I got up this morning and I could empty the dishwasher. We had enough dishes because we've been eating here really good. Y'all seen that poem where, I didn't complain. I didn't complain about my job. I was happy that I had a job to go to because it paid my bills and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So I look and I continue to look as this shit gets worse and worse and worse. And I continue to look at where did we go wrong? And the we includes I. Collectively, where have we gone wrong? It's like a reset. We've none of us, and there are very few people who were around in 1818, and most of them have been now killed by the coronavirus. So there hasn't been a pestilence in this country since 1818, and that includes any of these epidemics: polio, bird flu, swine flu, SARS. This is unlike anything any of us has ever seen. And this book, but higher, what this book was inspired by, this planner, every single people do their astrological forecast. Go back and look at some of your favorite astrologers. Really pay attention and see if they were on point. Because I'm sitting here like, what is it about me as a spiritual person who believes in these things that made me poo-poo the very words on a page? Ignorance. And so that's another thing that we've had to come and we've had to face as people. We were ignorant about a lot of things, especially how to fucking rein in this virus. Okay? I want you to stop and think about all of the things, especially when you sitting here, and a lot of you all are alone. And I feel bad for you sometimes. Sometimes I wish I could be alone, but most of the time I would hate to be alone in this situation, especially if I had health issues that kept me from caring for myself. And there are lots of you out there, but all of us have a new solitude, because our lives are not wrapped up in out here as much anymore. It's virtually, but not tangibly. It's a time to look. It's a time to find out. Okay, well, basically, in order for us to get back to some better shit, the system has to change. What can I do to make this system change? Maybe that may be advocating for working at home more. Once we go back into the office, maybe that means that if you were already working at home, you've already figured out ways to navigate homeschooling. If you're unhappy with the education that your children are receiving, how can you put better individuals into this environment? But at the very least, when they go back to school, you know how to help supplement their education. This is stuff that I've been doing with my kids all their lives because I knew the schools weren't going to tell them the truth. So, but when we come back, rallying together, unionizing, demanding pay for essential workers that essential workers deserve, because for the years coming up to this, we've been arguing about fair minimum wage. We couldn't even get that. And so we got people out here because their only crime is being poor. And it's not a crime. It's a disadvantage, for myriads of reasons that mostly include classism, racism, sexism, and the patriarchy. What are we going to do? Because if all of us walked out tomorrow, what were they going to do? It's kind of like when a woman, back in the day especially, left her husband. A lot of times these motherfuckers couldn't even iron a shirt, didn't know how to cook. People make changes and act better when they miss you. So what can we challenge? And it can be something small or something really, really big. But what are you going to challenge? What are you going to make different in your life? One of the things I'm definitely thinking about is cutting the hours at the store, because people are not at our store that early in the day. Maybe being open from 3 to 9. And taking a Saturday off every month so we can go out and do things and go out of town. Things that I didn't want to do before because the store. But thanks to the generosity of the people who have signed up for our online classes, we can afford the store. In fact, we didn't even move into the store until the business would pay for it, that rent here. When we were actually able to make enough money where we knew we'd handle the rent even if nobody ever came in the door. I have under $800 worth of debt. Everything else in that business is paid off. And I literally spent about $30,000 to open it. And I paid it off. So, you know, you got to realize what has weight in your life. Okay? You know, what is important. If anything, if you don't do anything else but lay in fucking bed during this fucking horrible time, because baby, I've been asleep like a motherfucker. But I constantly wake up and I'm reading and thinking about what's really important. What is important so that not only I am healthy, my family health is healthy, and that is dependent on the entire goddamned world, that we are all healthy. What are we willing to fight for? What are we willing to go to the streets for? People are willing to go to the streets and defy orders to stay in the house, but we used to have that same type of energy to make sure that everybody's protected, that everybody has an income, that everybody is well fed. Because where the fuck did they get all this money from, y'all? No, I haven't applied. People keep sending me these links for small business loans and stuff like that. And I guess I could take advantage of the system, but I don't need it. Not right now. If I need it and I apply for it, hopefully something will still be there. But no, I'm not going to do that right now. It's not a prudent thing to do. Take on debt when it's unnecessary. So, you know, by year's end, Saturn and Jupiter will move from Capricorn into Aquarius like a sigh. The intense visceral work of Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter in Capricorn will lead us into a time of revolution, expansion, and reformation in Aquarius. Remember the song, This is the Age of Aquarius, that was signaling the beginning of social revolution? So where are we going to do that? Because this is your planning time. You know, this is the Four of Diamonds and the Four of Clubs. This is your planning time. In all of the structures of your life, this is your planning time. And I'm sorry, like me, I ain't got no break, y'all. I'm working harder than ever because we're attending more meetings. We're sitting in with professors. We're still developing courses. People are working slower. It's hard for me to stay focused. You know, it's hard. I've been hustling. And because I know that the classes and the divinations are basically, and that's what I do in my evenings, I've been working every night. Got me work. I can't sing day and night though, day and night. But there's a couple of things that I want you all to know about Saturn and Pluto. And then I want you to really, really go buy this fucking planner because, woo! Oh my goodness, the Judgment card. I'm going to read more of this. I got to keep reading more of it. I never got as deeply into it as I wanted to. And then the rest of the planner has different pieces and artwork. And KT is on this call. And KT's art, KT Infinite Art, is featured in this planner, y'all. And I found that beautiful. Where is it? Where is it? KT, tell me what page your art is on. Because I saw it and I was like, hey, I know you. I was really excited about that. So just tell me what page your art is on so I can show it to everybody. Yeah, I had it and didn't read it. I did that last year. I didn't make the fucking mistake this year, but I still didn't take heed. When you have tools, that's what pisses me off about y'all. Y'all will be like, well, where is it? And how do I find it? And I have a whole ass book list in my group. It's the We Moon Planner. It's in the title of the live. And the theme for this year is Wake Up Call. But let me tell y'all what y'all dealing with these Saturn-Pluto conjunctions. Saturn's archetype wields the sickle of time. Think about the sickle of time. Think about the Grim Reaper or Santa Muerte and other spirits associated with death and the sickle. And death can also be rebirth. A binding force for setting limits. With commitment to purpose, the cultivation of wisdom, Saturn maintains the precedence for abiding in the finite world. How do we live in this fucking box under the restraints in which we're in? It tests our moral compass and reforms our social responsibilities. Y'all, Pluto, known in myth as the overlord of the underworld, symbolizes the dilemmas of dualism and life's reversals. What is life's reversals, y'all? Death, the underworld. As a catalyst for turning points for change, Pluto evolves us into the soul of the collective and the infinite. If watching thousands of people die has not made you question the dilemmas of dualism and life's reversals, I don't know what will. But pay attention. On April 4th, and you can go back and review some of this stuff incidentally, the day of Dr. King's assassination, June 29th and November 12th, Jupiter, the planet of social justice, conjoins Pluto while dire climate changes and global weaponization displace millions of people in migration, and we face the snares of scapegoating. Rulings from the High Court tip the scales of our tolerances. The U.S. presidential election may fuel paranoia and the polarization with the fervor of an uncivil political war. On winter solstice, December 21st, Jupiter and Saturn conjoin at 0 Aquarius. This 20-year cycle offers shifts in dynamics for social participation and group identity. Realign reactivity. This was some writing on the wall type of shit, y'all. And, I don't know. I don't know what it was in me. I mean, I've underlined this stuff. I've highlighted. I read it. And there was one thing I wanted to ask people. There's something in here about the eclipses. It says ellipses catalyze. I know what that means now. Ellipses catalyze destiny's calling. Eclipses basically are like the ignition of destiny. Okay? So on June 5th, there's a pre-numeral lunar eclipse. On June 20th, there's the annual solar eclipse. On July 4th, interestingly enough, another prenumeral lunar eclipse. On November 30th, there's another prenumeral lunar eclipse. And on December 14th, there will be a total solar eclipse. I want you all to start studying what these planets are saying. There's information in here about the year of the rat. There's in the judgment card. The judgment card is the number 20 in the major arcana. It's the 20th card. It is 2020. So where are we? Because, you got some folks talking about it's the end times. Where are we standing in judgment? And I haven't even finished all of these things, but I can promise you by the end of this weekend, I'm going to have all this shit in this planner read and then some. Because what happens is if I have a question, I'll then, they mention a term or something else, I'll go look it up and find out what the fuck they're talking about and how I can interpret that and apply that to myself. And that's why I keep trying to tell y'all. People are always hollering about, oh, you can't be a witch from a book. But goddamn it, you can learn some principles. Okay? You can find out how all of this stuff written in a book is going to affect your life. And maybe if we were paying attention and we were as woke as we said the fuck we were, some of us wouldn't have been caught so off guard. So my phone's about to die. It's that time of the evening where I'm going to try to get all the black people in bed so I can have some mommy time. Maybe keep doing some more work. I finished my divinations for the evening. And I'm hoping that you all will either get this planner or learn astrology so you can figure out some of this stuff on your own, so that, and for those of us who are knowledgeable, pay more attention, so that, yeah, you can kind of be ready. I probably would have, I don't know. I don't think I would have bought any more toilet paper. I don't know about that. When I read it, I was like, we're fucked. Then I just kind of left it alone. I was trying not to hyperventilate on the plane. But we got to pay attention. We really got to pay attention. You want to be a worker? I tell my kids, you got your surroundings, and that means spiritually, physically, mentally, everything. You got to know where you're going. You got to know where you've been. You got to know what's in front of you. You cannot be an effective worker, witch, or occultist otherwise. Have a good evening.